preference is to solve this problem through diplomacy. But one thing is certain, I will never allow the world's #1 sponsor of terror, which they are by far, to have a nuclear weapon. Can't let that happen. We haven't heard those secret words. We will never have a nuclear weapon.
President Trump ramping up pressure on Iran. The Treasury Department just hit Iran with 30 new sanctions against that radical Islamic regime's economy. The U.S. and Iran set for a third round of nuclear talks tomorrow. And President Trump is standing by with military might if needed, meaning Iran refuses to make a deal. If that happens, 2 aircraft carriers, more than a dozen other warships are in the region. In focus now, Brett Velikovich, former Army Special Operations soldier and Fox News contributor. First of all, just categorically, the military might standing by. I want to get your thoughts on that and where we are in this.
Well, the way I see it, Harris, is the regime in Tehran has a choice. They can either fully dismantle their nuclear program, or the Trump administration and our military is going to dismantle it for them, because the president made it very clear last night, a nuclear-armed Iran is not up for negotiation. They will not have a bomb. And he didn't mince his words there. He called out Tehran for restarting their nuclear ambitions, for working on missiles that could someday reach our own homeland, and for continuing to spread terrorism and death across the Middle East. And what Trump showed last night was American leadership, not warmongering. He held up a vision where diplomacy is the first tool, not the last tool, and where our military strength enables diplomacy to succeed. But sadly, despite Iranian officials claiming a deal is within reach if diplomacy is prioritized, there still is no concrete pledge from Tehran that they're never going to build a nuclear weapon. And that's the sticking point that Trump underscored last night. And on diplomacy, look, some in Washington, they act like diplomacy is just waving some magic wand. But we have to be honest with ourselves, Harris, and who we're dealing with. We're dealing with a regime that spends most of its time strategizing on how to hurt and kill Americans and our regional allies. And so diplomacy without strength has never worked, because Iran still has never said they're not going to build a nuclear weapon. Obama proved that theory out for years of failed attempts. You just can't negotiate with a regime that refuses to make that commitment.
Yeah. So what happens if they pull away from the table? I mean, do you see this turning into a kinetic experience for them?
Yeah, I do. I think we have a very small window that we actually haven't had in years to make a real impact.
Because we know recently they were doing some war exercises together, Iran and Russia hand-holding.
Yeah, I think, again, we've got a window here that we haven't seen in decades to actually have a real impact on the regime. Every time I think about Iran, I have a hard time, frankly, removing the images and the tape that runs through my mind of the men and women I deployed with alongside years ago, some of which were killed or injured right in front of me by Iranian bombs. I was nearly killed by Iranian rockets that ripped through the walls of my living quarters in Baghdad. We were not at war with them back then. We were at war with al-Qaeda. But yet Iran has continued to be at war with us even after we left. And so for me, they're always going to have American blood on their hands. And the president should never forget the sacrifices the men and women in uniform, who gave their lives defending Americans against terrorism. But what comforts me this week, I'll tell you, is our leadership, while they're sitting by and starting to negotiate yet again, Trump in the background has built the most formidable and largest American military posture in decades. And so that gives me a lot of comfort.
Brett Velikovich, thank you for being in focus.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.